I want to get to the legal calendar with you, Carol Lam and Danny Cevallos, because that to me is the most important question. When is this trial? And when is as soon as this trial could be? And when do you think, and let me start with you, Carol, when's the latest you think this trial's going to start?
The latest? Well, Chuck, I've been trying to, from the prosecutor's perspective, look at what the possibilities are here. I would be very surprised if Jack Smith's team wasn't prepared right now to start turning over discovery, all of it. They should have been prepared right from the get-go to give over all the discovery, because they don't want to give Donald Trump's defense team any excuse to say we need to delay this trial. So let's say that discovery is going out the door today, which it should. Then I think the earliest, given the trial schedules that has already been set, I think there's a possibility that she could set the trial for March, but he's got another trial set for March. So there's going to have to be a little coordination among the various judges here. I don't see any other way to do this. But I think going to trial, and Danny will have to give his perspective as a defense attorney, but I think any earlier than March, I think, is going to put a lot of pressure on the judge and even the prosecution that the defense hasn't had enough time.
All right, Danny, how much past March do you think the defense could delay the start of this trial?
You know, it's interesting. I mean, the way to do it is a flurry of motions to dismiss, motions for change of venue, volume. Quality takes a backseat to quantity, because a lot of these issues are novel issues. The judges' clerks are going to have to spend a lot of time researching it. But another thing that folks aren't really talking about when it comes to Trump being able to delay is that Trump will not be treated like any other defendant. I know we all talk about Trump should be treated like any other defendant, but let's be real. On this judge's docket, this case will be a priority. There's no way that they are going to take a motion from Joe Schmo in another case and prioritize that over motions from the most important criminal defendant in American federal criminal history. They're going to look at the Trump motions first. So that works against the defense. They can file their flurry of motions, but I promise you, I don't know it, I just believe it to be true, that they're going to take those motions and put them at the top of the pile, get to them right away. So in that sense, yes, not all defendants are equal. Trump is not an equal defendant. He will be treated differently. That's why they shut down the entire New York courthouse for one defendant. And that's why when he files motions, his team files motions, they're going to get looked at right away, faster. More clerks are going to be assigned to it. They're going to decide them as quickly as they can. So that works against the whole delay plan. But file lots of motions, volume. You can affect a lot of delay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to double down. I'm just going to say every time I'm going to bet black or red if you're ever at the roulette table. And my bet is this. I'm always betting on delay. My case in point is the Mar-a-Lago documents case. The government wanted that to go to trial in December. I have to take them to task a little bit, because they must have known they were going to supersede that indictment, and yet they still wanted a December date. That was unreasonable. But again, a no trial date, indefinite, that's against, I don't think that's even statutorily allowed. So the defense here, realistically, let's say next summer for a trial date. But again, I'm doubling down.
So you'll go summer.
It could change.
Yeah, you'll go summer.
I will. I'm erring always on the side of delay.
All right. Now let me get to length of trial, Carol. How long do you think the prosecution needs?
Yeah, so I went through the indictment and I tried to figure out how many witnesses Jack Smith has to call in this trial. And I came up with between 30 and 40, because he's got all these different factual scenarios going on. He's got stuff going on in 7 different states. He has a whole bunch of senators and congressmen. He's got the White House staff. He has DOJ officials. So, and even if they're on the witness stand for only a few minutes, he still has to call them, and then they have to be cross-examined by Trump's attorney. So I say between 30 and 40 witnesses. I don't see this trial, even if everything goes perfectly for the prosecution. And I'm with Danny on you bet on delay. So I'm saying even if everything goes perfectly, I see this as being between a 2 to 3 month trial, and that's if everything goes well.
All right. So you guys are playing right into my hand here of what I'm trying to set up. So we've got a trial that starts July 15th. Now we're It ends sometime mid to late September based on our timelines here. So, Danny, assuming there's a guilty verdict, sentencing then is how long after that? We delay that till after the election?
Usually it's about 2 to 3 months, or it's not a hard rule. It can be delayed. I've had it delayed. I'm having one that's taking a while right now, one of my federal cases. It normally is tied up with whether probation can do the pretrial or pre-sentence investigation report. It can take some time, but generally speaking, you're looking at a few months after to schedule sentencing. And that, to me, by the way, Chuck, is the real date. Everybody's talking about the election date and the trial date. To me, it's about sentencing and inauguration. Yeah. That is where you get into some wacky hypotheticals, like do you go inaugurate a president at a federal detention center? How does that work? So I don't know. To me, the wackier situation is some different dates.
Carol, how much this timeline I just showed you, and you guys helped me. I mean, this is what I can't get past here, that we really could not know whether what his sentence is, essentially letting the country be the jury here in deciding whether he truly goes to jail or not. Does a federal judge take that into account and say, you know what, it's not good for the country to have this trial before the election?
It's a possibility, Chuck, but the problem is that our system is not set up for this kind of scenario. And by the way, I'll add to the timeline. You've got jury deliberations. I mean, I've had cases where the jury has deliberated for 5 months. So that's a big unknown, right? But
look at Danny's expression. It got caught on camera here. 5 months.
I don't like being on trial. That sounds like a nightmare. Oh.
It was a bad year. But my point is that the system isn't set up for this. And what has happened and what is happening here is that politics and the criminal law system are bashing into each other, and they shouldn't be. It's going to be virtually impossible to hold this trial in a way that's not so infected with politics that it's going to be a clean situation at the end. And just think, think about the possibilities, Chuck. I mean, even if you had it finished by inauguration, as Danny says, then what about appeal? And can this president instruct his Department of Justice to drop the case? I mean, it's just an impossible situation.
And Garrett, I bring it back here to the political calendar. I mean, you just heard that.
Right.
I didn't bring up when the convention is.
Nope.
It's in August. I didn't bring up when the
presidential debates. Hi, if they're going to happen.
Right.
Well, look, here's the other possibility that while we're doing fan fiction on this, what if he gets acquitted in October? Yeah. And the rocket fuel that would be Donald Trump saying, "I've been vindicated."
To the left or the right?
Oh, I mean, it's
right?
Yes. All right. We'll run these thought experiments over and over and over again for the next 6 months.
Good luck to every other Republican candidate running to break through this noise. Yeah. Danny Cevallos, Carol Lam, you guys have been terrific law school teachers for Garrett and I, so thank you. Appreciate it. And Garrett, good luck out there.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.